Oh, I'm here again? Probably gonna do heroin. Better get ready.
Deal with it.
When I'm going, let you come around anyhow. Run around town, down, won't you hear me now? People talking in the street, don't give a shout. Coming down the line, we running out of time now. When I'm going, let you come around anyhow. Run around town, down, won't you hear me now? People talking in the street, don't give a shout. Coming down the line, we running out of time now.
So I should say anyway.
Well, we're cutting back this week.
I guess anyways isn't a word, right?
Oh, that's right, because we're going to go do something for your thing and name.
Here we are, episode 4 of InSpace. We're just chilling, once again, in the undisclosed location on the outskirts of Wichita, Kansas. Tonight we got 5 people in the studio with us. Once again, I'd just like to say, we welcome back David. David, welcome back.
Thank you. How's it
Welcome
going?
back, David.
Welcome back. How you doing tonight, David?
I'm doing awesome.
You are?
Yes.
Good. You feeling better?
I'm feeling a lot better.
I had a couple emails, a couple phone calls, people asking if you were all right. Is that guy okay?
Yeah, well, thank you all for your concern.
What I want you to do is I want you to explain the theory you told me, which totally is plausible.
Well, okay, so the theory, I wouldn't necessarily call it a theory, because I think they've done experiments which
Okay, well, what
prove
is
this
it, though?
exists. It's called conditioned compensatory response.
Uh-huh.
And so the whole idea behind this is like when your body, or like when you're in a certain environment where you're used to, like, say, like having a drink or two or whatever,
Or 10.
Right.
or 10, your body, like, kind of pre-reacts to being in that environment by kind of, like, counteracting the effects of whatever you're used to doing there.
Like pre-cum?
No, I don't think
No,
so,
I
Joe.
think that's a different idea.
Yeah,
Okay.
you completely.
But-
Sorry, I'm thinking outside the
But
box
I've read
again.
studies about heroin addicts who, they'll take the same amount of heroin as they usually do, but if they're in a novel environment, they will actually overdose because they are without this whole conditioned compensatory response.
and they're used to how they feel in that situation. Like if you take them outside of that and they take a quarter of what they took before, they'd feel entirely way messed up more than they would if they were at home. Because it's a new environment.
Yeah, I don't know, like a quarter, but if they took the same amount,
Just
then
in,
they'd just be
in
like
general terms.
going crazy, yeah. Because their body is like counteracting the heroin before they even take it, because it knows, like, oh, I'm here again? Probably gonna do heroin. Better get ready.
Deal with it.
Yeah.
Like the
So,
smell and the
So, yeah,
sound.
so that's what you experienced.
I think so, being somewhere new and different, and, you're,
I believe it. It sounds very plausible to me that, that makes sense to me.
yeah, and like nerves, like you're nervous,
Right.
so,
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
yes.
It really does. Okay, as always, on my left, I've got Joe. What's up, Mr. Bronco Joe?
What's cracking, Nick?
How you doing?
Finer than frog hair. How you doing?
Finer than Frogger. Joe, who you got next to you there?
On my right or my left?
On your right.
On my right is the all great Jessica.
The all great Jessica.
Wow. It just keeps getting better.
You got anything to say about that, Jess? Nope.
He's way too fucking sober.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take a shot of that Jaeger, Joe.
Exactly. Where'd it go?
Let's get this going.
The AGJ.
And always, we
Okay,
got
let's
Kyle.
go.
How you doing, Kyle?
Feeling fucking tasty tonight.
Tasty?
Yeah.
That's good. That's great. That's tasty. My heart and my mind goes out to the people of Aurora, Colorado for what happened last night at the movie theater. It was a very fucked up situation. That dude should have his throat ripped out by, like, rabid zombie dogs
Oh, I was
with
gonna say that.
infected saliva
Nice.
and just let him fucking sit there and bleed. But that's just my opinion.
Are you telling me the ending to the movie, or
No, that was what happened in the theater. Well, what the fuck is wrong with people? That
Lewis.
motherfucker... Okay, everybody, they see movies now and they want to be the fucking bad guy. Nobody wants to be the Batman. Like, when the second
Like-
Batman movie came out, Everybody thought Heath Ledger's character was so cool. There was an infatuation at Halloween parties. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Everybody wanted to be that fucking character. It was so bad that The Office even made fun of it.
Yeah.
Like the show.
I'm really disturbed, and I only make jokes because I don't know how to deal with shit. But isn't this like the new Crow for like kids? Like,
I don't know.
kind of almost.
No, Batman's more
that's kinda
mainstream.
true.
Except for like it's not the actor, but
Well, and the
So
Crow
now-
is a little different because he's like really doing what he does for the better good of everything. He's not really evil.
All right, but the main fucked up part of this whole thing is the guy did this in the theater, walked out, stood by his car, waited for the cops. Cops came out, arrested him. He told the cops, "I'm the Joker. I'm Batman's enemy." And they took him to jail and they questioned him, and the only thing he told them was, "My apartment is rigged with explosives." And they went over and checked it out, and it was rigged with all sorts of like
it was
collapsing circuitry and like tripwires and shit.
Yeah.
His apartment was completely booby trapped, and there's like Coke bottles full of like explosives and explosive materials and liquids. They don't know what to do. It was rigged up to like an alarm clock or a radio where it started playing music at one point for no reason. Like they don't know why he's got it set up the way he's got it set up. But this dude, he was a candidate for a PhD. He was going for his master's in neuroscience. He already had his bachelor's. I mean, this guy was smart, and he just flipped his fucking lid. And I've had 2 people come up to me and be like, "Dude, bath salts."
Or, I saw the picture of the guy. I think he's got the beaver hair going on.
Dude.
Well, they said he dyed his hair red.
Smiling, like, all creepy, too.
They said he dyed his hair red. When they picked him up, his hair was red. TMZ.com has a picture of him on their website of him with fucking red hair. Like, dude just lost his mind. He was in the process of dropping out from his PhD courses for neuroscience.
Well, you know what they say, like, some of the smartest people have, some of the most
Well, the brain
mental
can't.
issues and stuff.
The brain gets full after a while.
Yeah.
Could you imagine going to those classes? I'm not trying to sympathize with the motherfucker because I want somebody to rip his goddamn throat out because that's fucked up. That's how I feel.
Well, it's got to happen to one of the best states in the world. States
is.
in the world. That's what I'm
is
saying.
an amazing fucking
states
place.
in the world. You know what I'm saying?
Best states in the world.
Honestly,
without the wildfires, he's dyeing his hair red.
Well, honestly, you do, like, even though, like, what he did was extremely psychotic, you do have to, honestly, he did it, 30 minutes into the movie?
Yeah.
So we're, like...
And people actually thought it was, like, theatrics. They thought it was part of the fucking, like,
really?
the theater was doing some, like, ambiatic acting or something to increase
trying to get your $8 worth.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's midnight showing. You kind of expect maybe something fucked up
Some
will
sort
happen,
of theatrics.
you know
Well,
what I
everybody
mean?
was in costumes. They didn't know what to
Right.
think. They see this guy walk in, look like a fucking SWAT team member, and then he just throws tear gas everywhere.
And everyone's just like, all right, shit just got fucking real, like, real quick.
This is not Rocky Horror Picture
I'm
Show.
not talking shit on the people, but why did nobody fucking rush him? Why did nobody, like, run up and, like, tackle the motherfucker?
Well, and I asked... God, I'm too drunk.
In space!
I actually listened to one psychiatrist this morning. They actually said that when you watch a movie, you actually become part of that movie, and you're more focused in on what is actually happening in that movie. So when he actually started doing all that shit, in the beginning, for like the first, minute or so, you actually thought it was actually part of the movie until it actually hit you. This person is actually fucking trying to kill us.
I think I'd notice.
Do you really?
I don't know,
think
man.
I would.
I don't know if
I'd
you could say
like-
what
I
you
would-
would do at that point.
I would
you know
like
what I
to
mean?
think that
It's
I would
fight
be
or
over
flight.
those seats in like 2 seconds and be on top of that motherfucker, whether he hit me a couple times with bullets or
It's like
not.
a-
I would
you
like to
would-
think that I would go
Is
after
that like
him.
a throwback to the zombie stuff? Like, is that why everybody's eating everybody's brains? Like,
Man, I don't
There's
know,
just
but
been
this
so
everything
many,
is getting
so many zombie
crazy.
movies.
I don't know. That stuff is terrible, man.
It's horrible.
It's terrible. I know someone who was like affected by that. I had a
Really?
family member involved.
That's terrible.
It's sad stuff. Like, it's just like, why does that kind of thing happen?
My first thought was, really, dude, you're gonna a bunch of innocent people watching just a stupid fucking movie.
Yeah, it's like they are not Batman. You don't have to if you're the Joker, but I guess, the Joker didn't target really Batman either, so
Not really.
it's not a valid argument.
It just seems weird. Something about the whole situation seems off.
But you think there's, something to be wary of.
Like he's trying to make a
Future,
point
yeah.
because he didn't kill himself. All those guys kill themselves after they do that.
99 problems.
And he was wearing a bulletproof vest. I mean, come on. Why was he trying to preserve his life if what he was doing was so horrible that everybody else that does that shit puts a bullet in their head or gets killed by the cops? It's just, I don't understand it. But our hearts and minds go out to those people in Aurora, Colorado. And David, you got an article over there?
Yeah, I do. I got a couple. I have one from the Huffington Post. This guy, Anthony Perry, was apparently licking kids' feet in libraries.
What?
Yeah, and it gets a little better, though. He says he's claiming that Barack Obama set him up.
He was set up by Barack Obama.
Yes, to get caught for licking children's feet. So
That's messed up,
Yeah.
dude. That is messed up.
yeah, I really don't know what to say about it. He's 49 years old, and so now he's facing 2 felony sex abuse charges for removing the shoes of 10-year-old girls
And licking their feet.
and licking their feet, rubbing their feet, putting them all over his face. Apparently one of the moms saw him and called the cops, who later picked him up. And his quote was, "I'm being set up by the President Barack Obama and the city and federal government. My family was killed here. My uncle was killed here. This is a setup. They had women following me in Wegmans," which
What the fuck?
I would
It must be
assume-
like a store or something.
the library or a town or something.
Yeah, Wegmans. Like Wegmans tool hardware store or Wegmans grocery or something.
Yeah.
Probably.
It's like men wearing wigs.
Yeah, but police are still currently investigating similar occurrences in 2 other cities to see if he's involved with those as well. But at this
So
point,
he said that
they don't know.
somebody killed his wife and his family or something? What was that? The mayor killed his wife?
He said his family was killed here and his uncle was killed here. This is a setup.
Wow.
So the only way to bring them back is to lick children's feet.
Right.
Yeah, I don't get it.
How does that even... Talk about crazy people. What the fuck, man?
I know. I just don't think you could ever understand, You just
Come here, little
can't
kid. I'm going to
understand.
lick your foot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just so
it's-
beyond comprehension.
That would be pretty traumatizing if you were a child, though. Some strange creeper
Yeah, dude. It
come
would be
ripping
like,
off your shoe and starting to fondle your foot with
It's
his
like
face.
Sandusky,
Yeah.
Except for feet licking.
Right. Maybe that's the new move, though. Well, I'm going to give you a Sandusky in
Yeah.
the face.
Yeah. I
Don't
know.
Sandusky me
Yeah.
in space.
I'm going to rub my old foot dirt in your face.
Kyle,
Yep.
you got an article over there? What's
I
going
have
on?
A few.
You got something for us? Mm-hmm. Okay, give us your good one right now.
Okay.
The tasty one.
So,
That's good. That's great. That's tasty.
okay. So in Buenos Aires, there's these things going on, and people are seeing these lights in the sky at various times during the day. And it specifically talks about this family, a young mother and her child, and the mother talks about how she sees, all kinds of different lights and strange things in the sky all the time, and how other people that she knows around her see the same things. And when they interviewed her 5-year-old daughter, she said that at night, children with big eyes come to take her to play with Jesus.
What?
Yeah. So I don't know exactly what that means.
What?
But
Wow, that sounds creepy as fuck.
Yeah, for a 5-year-old to just say that.
But isn't Buenos Aires near the Corcovado statue?
Mm-hmm.
It's like really sunny.
Right.
The giant Jesus.
But I mean,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
what would make a kid say that? But okay, but
big
on the
sunglasses.
opposite end of the spectrum, they tried to explain this. Okay, and what they say is that these are actually satellites of some sort that emit some sort of light.
And little
because
children with big eyes.
Right, I guess. Yeah, they try to just say that these things are satellites, and it's like a infrared device on the actual satellite that's on all the time. So what these people are seeing now that they're doing these investigations, they use these infrared cameras so that only you see the infrared light. So when it picks it up on the camera, it looks like a triangle or like a pyramid shape.
Have you ever heard of Jose Escamilla?
I have not.
Like a few years back, this motherfucker got a bunch of commercial grade, like home user grade video cameras with night vision on them, and he started pointing them at the skies, and he started seeing stuff. He'd build like a dual tripod, one camera with the night vision, one camera without the night vision, and he'd record the same frame shot with both cameras. On the infrared, he'd pick up swarms of like these things floating across the sky with the night vision that the regular camera didn't pick up, like during the day. Cloaking system of
Right.
some sort. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what they say here too, that these are, a lot of them are during the day. And you can't see them because what it does is it reflects the light off of it, so it masks itself with its environment, so you would never even know it was there. Kind of like we talked about last week when we were sharing UFO stories, and I said it was like a shimmer. You know what I mean? Like you could see like a black just gloss,
Right.
Because it was mimicking its environment.
Yeah, and what if all that's just our government like testing out secret stealth technology?
See, and that's what they say here too. They said it could be like some sort of UAVs, like unmanned, drones that just are
looking
flown
for-
from like thousands of miles away that could be spying on people, or they could be some sort of, you know what I mean? Who knows?
They're looking for weed farmers in the middle of corn.
In America,
wouldn't
that's all
doubt
there
it,
is to look
dude.
for. Yeah, there's no Osama bin Laden
Let's
in
build
America.
$1 billion fucking vehicle to go bust $20,000 worth of marijuana. It's a good plan. Good job,
Sign me up for a yes.
Yeah, really.
I don't know, but yeah, that's pretty much what it says. And I mean, it goes, to me, it seems like what they're saying doesn't really make any sense. I mean, as far as what people are claiming, because they're not the only ones who have seen it. And even one of this GRUTAP members is some sort of organization that does studies on this, says that they see stuff all the time. And it's like
Yeah.
they don't know if it's aliens or not, but they know it's not normal.
Right.
And they know it's not any type of, normal vehicle that you would see, or helicopter, or any kind of aircraft. So it's kind of up in the air. It's just
I've
weird.
always wondered, sometimes at night I've looked up and I've seen like silhouetted against the stars things flying up there.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell that is. Like every once in a while, I've seen it 3 times in the past 4 years. I'll look up, because I look at the sky a lot at night. Every time I go to my car, every time I go out to smoke a cigarette, I just sit there and stare. And like 3 times in the past 4 years, I've seen this silhouetted object. Like you see the stars fade out as it passes, but it's like a boomerang shape. It's got to be some sort of government drone craft, some sort of global hawk flyer, something they've got up there. Because it's aerodynamic. It's not using like electronic magnet or the it's not like a UFO style. It's flying using an airfoil on the wings to stay up there. So that's man-made technology, obviously, by the way it flies. But I've seen it, and I don't know what it is. I know there's something up there that they've got that they're working on that flies without lights, and it's almost pretty silent. It's almost like a glider.
Yeah.
Either that, or it could be like some giant soaring bird. But it's quite a ways up in the air when I see it, and it's really big.
Well, because, I mean, that with a glider, like you said, if an aircraft did take the glider up and let it go, I mean, you could see a plane, like 10 minutes ago or whatever. But the glider, it could be unmanned, and that thing could be up there for a couple hours before it would have to come down.
True, but they could also run it with an engine and then let it glide around for a while,
Right, a
too.
very small engine that you wouldn't be able to
Because nobody,
hear.
even to like debunk it, so to speak, who would glide at night? Like,
Right.
if it was just a recreational glider. And every time I've seen it, it's been at night. So it's something completely silent that just soars through the air. And I don't know what the hell it is. And I've seen it 3 times. And we live out here in the central region part of Kansas.
Air capital.
And there's a lot of activity in our skies.
So we know what's up.
Yeah, we wear our sunglasses at night.
Yeah.
So I can.
I don't know.
Joe, you got an article?
Cuckoo, ka-choo, I do.
What'd you pick tonight? See, every night everybody comes into the studio and I just start tossing around articles and everybody picks the one they want. Usually I go to my left because I pass the articles on the left-hand side like you're supposed to.
Like the Dutchie.
Like the Dutchie.
Just like the Dutchie, the Huffington
That's a great
Post,
segue, Joe. Great segue.
the Huffy Post says
I like this.
Tavares
I like this
Colbert,
place.
or as they say probably around his way, TC. Well, TC Colbert shot himself in the genitalias, the genitals, got arrested. The Oklahoma cops say.
The Oklahoma cops. The Red
The
Bear
OKC. So it starts out, sometimes shooting yourself in the foot is the better option. But not in this gentleman's case. Tavares, Donald Colbert, and the 36-year-old Oklahoma man actually shot himself in the genitals. And then he got arrested for it.
For shooting himself in the junk, they arrested him?
In the junk, because he's a convicted drug dealer, out of Watauga County.
Where did he find the gun, quote unquote?
Quote unquote, somewhere in the state of Kansas.
Oh, no way.
I've been looking around and I've never seen
It's
a gun
not
laying
okay.
around.
They
Go to
grow in
KS.
fields out here.
Yeah.
I looked at that picture when I got that article today, and that guy looks familiar to me.
He kind of looks like Kevin Hart if he was like older and kind of like smoked rock a lot.
Smoking rock.
Joe Rogan.
All right.
5 o'clock free crack giveaway.
Wait. I don't think. Okay, it doesn't like specifically say, but I don't think he like shot himself in
Looks
the
like
penis like
another
straight up. He was
Morgan
probably
in
trying to
there.
be gangster and like have it in his pants. You know what I'm saying? And then he went to go grab it out and shot himself. I mean, that's normally
Yeah,
what
well,
happens.
yeah, they put it in their pants, and
Yeah, exactly.
because they see it on TV,
Yeah.
and they think that's
Apparently,
okay.
there's convenience stores in the good old state of KS in the world that you can sell it at a convenience store.
So what?
So-
Well,
gun.
I think
A
he was
gun
like
that
trying
you
to
shoot
sell
your
it,
junk.
buy it on Craigslist or sell it on Craigslist or something. And they're like, "Meet me at the."
Well, old Cold Nuts Colbert told the officers that he found the gun somewhere in Kansas and had plans to sell it at a convenience store. Well, he
I
was
don't think
checking to
any of
see
them
if his
have
gun
guns.
worked. He shot himself in the nuts.
So he got okay. To sum the story up, the dude
Yeah.
found a gun at a convenience store in Kansas,
well,
and then shot himself in the junk and got arrested.
That's the worst
I
day ever.
wonder if they charged him for like
Well-
discharging in a public area or something.
I'm sure
Yeah,
they
what
did.
was his charge?
Yeah, does it say?
yeah, well, cutscene. He's a felon. Go guess that one.
Oh, so he shouldn't even
So
be
he
in
shouldn't even
possession.
having a gun.
So he got arrested for having a firearm.
Yeah.
But he had time to say on his Facebook, it says, "Boy, some people ain't shit." 9 exclamation points.
9?
9. I just counted.
9.
That's
9.
serious.
They mama, they daddy. Shouldn't even named they shouldn't have even named them. Shoulda just let them drop and bust they head when they were born. LOL.
Axe.
Let me ask you something.
I think this is getting racist.
No.
No, I know white people that shouldn't talk like that.
Yeah, I've heard lots of white people say that.
You're listening to In Space
I've
with Nick
heard
McEwen. Don't forget to go to Facebook /Facebook.com/InSpaceShow.com. Also, give us a call at 316-712-0333. Leave us a message. Let us know what you think. If you have any stories that you'd like to share with the audience, call up. Leave your story. We don't care. We'll play it. Say something. Call us.
Now.
Also, you might be listening to us on Radio Xenu, RadioXenu.com. Also, follow me at Nick McEwen, the 33 on Twitter, at Nick McEwen, the 33. You're listening to InSpace, motherfucker. All right, we'll be right back. We're going to take a short break and let you guys chill for a minute and listen to some music. I hope you enjoy it. InSpace!
It's called listeners, motherfuckers. Really? I think so.
Should we do something else? We got the world in our palm, we're staying calm. This is our alarm, wake up before it's gone. We can't do any wrong, check who you're betting on. Nick McEwen 33, so we staying strong. On and on and on, on and on we go. The sickest vicious combination that you'll ever know. We got you by the throat, straight chokehold. The beats are so hot, the beats are so cold. We got the world in our hands, our hands. We're gripping every time. We got the world in our hands, our hands. We're gonna do this shit right. We grabbed the bull by the horn, put it on the tan. Got on the farm, made our bed, yes we did. Took the track, then we'll give it, turn it into gold. Roll with the punches, hold the line, never fold. It's never too late, you're never too old. You gotta make your own fate, gotta take your own road. You can do it if you try, 33 and 9. We'll get our own rules, that's exactly why. We got the world in our hands, our hands. We're gripping every outside. We got the world in our hands, our hands. We're gonna do this shit right.
Hey, this is Steve Headley from the 33, and you're listening to InSpace with Nick McEwen. I just wanted to give a shout out to Major Astro and Jack Warheimer, the Star Hustler.
All right, we got a guest for you today on In Space. We've got author James Rollins with the new book Bloodline. James, how's it going?
Going fantastic. How are you doing, Nick?
I'm doing great. Kind of hot out here in Kansas today.
I just went through the whole midsection. I can attest that it is very hot across the entire midsection of the U.S.
Yes, it is. So, James, what kind of books do you write about?
My books are somewhat hard to classify. I sort of label them as scientific thrillers, but they also have a little bit of a historical bent to them. Whenever I'm constructing my novel, I'm always looking for basically two things. I'm looking for that historical mystery, a piece of maybe history that ends in a question mark, something that I can answer during the course of those pages of the novel. But I'm also looking for that cutting-edge bit of science, what's going on the fringes of the scientific community that could become an exciting topic for a thriller.
Cool. Also, your new book, Bloodline, what is that about?
In this adventure, the president's daughter is kidnapped off of a yacht in the middle of the Indian Ocean, and a covert military team, there's a team that's been retrained in various scientific disciplines, basically scientists with guns, that are sent in pursuit of her. They're led by the sort of sharp nose of a military war dog, and they have to hunt through the jungles of Africa to find out where she's being held captive. What they discover, though, is the target of the abduction is not necessarily the daughter, but her unborn child. And this kid may or may not hold the genetic key to immortality. And that's the big claim.
Wow.
This novel is immortality. It's what's going on in those labs around the world in the search for extending human life.
That's pretty cool. You do a lot about immortality, and I saw a bunch of stuff in here about what is immortality. Like, what do you believe it is to you?
Well, in this case, immortality is defined by the scientific community is that search for extending human life. You know, back about 100 years ago, the average human lifespan was only 37 years of age. You know, bump up another 100 years to today, it's 78, and a lot of that, you know, that sudden increase in longevity is mostly due to the advances in technology and sciences. And now we're seeing science and technology begin to, take off at a very accelerating, blistering pace. They're saying that by 2030, that the computing power in the U.S., right now computers are pretty powerful in and of themselves, but they're saying by 2030 that computers will be about 1 million-fold more powerful than they are today, and that's almost incomprehensible to be 1 million-fold. And we're talking literally 10 years from now, and the wonders that's going to open is barely comprehensible from this viewpoint today.
Right.
Scientists that are working at these fringes, at the edges of the science, are taking advantage of these advances.
Right. So you're basically you're the basic definition of immortality. Living forever. Do you have more of a Ray Kurzweil view about how it's going to be mixed with technology, basically?
Right. I mean, I definitely did a lot of research with Ray, but also with other scientists like Sebastian Sung, who's working with trying to map out the synaptic map of the human brain.
Right.
Because the human brain, the synaptic connectome, as Sebastian Sung uses, it's a term for defining the genome, which is our DNA code. The connectome is the code of our synapses. And the amount of knowledge in just the average human brain synaptic map is about 100 billion times larger than the amount of information in our genome. So it's that synaptic map where human consciousness lies. It's that synaptic map where basically we could potentially then look to start moving things around. There's basically two fields of thought when it comes to pursuing this quest for immortality. One of them is taking man and moving them into machines. That's something that Raymond Kurzweil talked about. Sebastian Sung's even been talking about it. But what I discovered, there was a group of researchers right now with IBM. This isn't something like a fringe science. This is IBM scientists working with a bunch of Swiss scientists right now in a project called the Blue Brain Project. And what they're trying to do right now is they're trying to reverse engineer the mammalian brain down to the molecular level. They want to create a virtual brain, synapse by synapse, neuron by neuron, to create a perfect mirror image of the human brain in the cybersphere. And what they anticipate will happen when that achievement is finished is one of two things. Either that virtual brain will be an empty slate in which a artificial intelligence may spark and grow, or it will be a blank slate where they can potentially mirror somebody's human brain themselves and basically pattern that enough that they can actually move that consciousness into the synthetic arena. And that sounds like science fiction whenever I bring that up to groups, but it's not. I'll give you this example. When I first started this book, and I started the research on this book about almost 3 years ago. It's a long process between research and building the novel and getting it published. So I first started this research about 3 years ago. And at that time, the head of that project, Director Henry Markram, was telling me that he anticipates that we're going to accomplish that within the next 10 years, which to me surprised me. That even in 10 years seemed an amazing accomplishment to achieve what they're talking about in just 10 years. Well, I spoke to Dr. Henry Markram while I was doing this book tour just the past couple weeks, and he called me and said, I need to revise that estimate. It's no longer 10 years. And so in my head I'm thinking, oh great, he's going to double it or triple it. It's going to have to be the 2050 or something. He goes, no. The estimate now is we're going to accomplish this goal by the year 2015.
Oh, wow.
So we're talking about some breakthroughs that aren't even a decade away. We're talking about breakthroughs that are literally just a year or two away.
Wow.
And this is just one project. In my book, I list many other projects. At the end of my book, I have sort of what's true, what's not in my book, where I separate truth from fiction. There's even video links that I have in that book, so you can actually follow and see some of the things that I described in this book, because some of it sounds pretty fanciful, pretty like it's not possible, but you'll actually be able to see on your computer screen exactly what I'm talking about and how close we are to some of these amazing achievements that are about to break through.
Yeah, So do you think eventually you could go online and illegally download a consciousness?
That would be very cool. I mean, that's always a possibility. I mean, it's an open, it's a new frontier we're heading into. That singularity that Raymond Kurzweil refers to, where computing power will surpass the human intelligence, where the artificial intelligence will begin to rise. We're not talking about that in the far distant future. When this whole book started, because I was in line at a grocery store, and while I was waiting to check out, there's, of course, a line of magazines next to the checkout stand. And one of the magazines was a Time magazine article. It was a cover article read 2045, the year man becomes immortal. And I kept looking at that 2045 date and thinking, is that possible? Are we that close to achieving immortality? Because I might be around in 2045. We're really that close. And after doing the research and talking to these scientists at various labs, and now again with Henry Markham getting a revision on some of their estimates, I think 2045 is conservative. I think at this point we're probably going to, as fast as computing power is accelerating, we're going to reach that point much earlier than 2045.
Right, and the growth is most likely exponential. It speeds up as it goes with technology, the advancements we've been making. Is that correct?
Exactly. It's not just even in that sphere. This is the other spectrum when it comes to immortality. Is almost the reverse of that, what I just talked about. Instead of moving man into machines, the reverse is also happening in many labs around the world, which is taking machines and moving them into man. Right now, we're familiar with replacing worn-out parts in our body already. There's artificial knees, artificial hips. There's the old artificial heart.
Right.
But they're making leaps and bounds because of nanotechnology, which, of course, it's manufacturing at the atomic level, creating these little micro machines. And currently, they already have retinas, synthetic retinas to return vision to blind people.
Oh, wow.
There's about 1,000 people walking right around right now that have artificial pancreases in their bellies. And there's about 30,000 Parkinson patients that have neural implants to control their disease. So we're already seeing that machinery moving into our bodies. And again, we're just at the crest of what's really going to happen because of nanotechnology. And nanotechnology is not a futurist. Right now it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. $70 billion of nanotech products were sold in the U.S. last year. So it's a huge industry. It's growing fast. And it's also becoming more and more important in medicine. Right now I talked to one scientist that's working in this field specifically, and he says that nanotechnology has the promise to replace vital organs in the next 15 years, and that our blood cells will probably be replaced and cleaned by nanobots within the next 20 years.
Oh, wow.
And this is what actually surprised me the most. Because I thought, well, that's pretty amazing in and of itself. But he actually went one step further and said in the next 25 years, nanotechnology will be so prevalent that we'll begin to reprogram our biological software to start actually reverse aging, not to stop aging, but actually reverse aging. And that's in 25 years. So that 2045 estimate by Time magazine back a few years ago, it's well off the mark. Things are accelerating on both fields, both moving man into machines and taking machines and moving them to man. Mm-hmm. Both fields are accelerating at a very rapid pace.
So eventually there's going to come a point where anybody who can afford to live as long as they want to will be able to. What do you think they'll be taking some sort of precaution when in the future that does happen, everybody lives longer? You think there'll be a set population number? Will they start practicing eugenics? I mean, some people will have to die, some people have to live to sustain basically all the resources on planet Earth?
Right. I mean, that's one of the things I do explore in this novel also is, what if we do achieve that goal? What then happens? Already we know that there's enough stress on this planet with the current population. If we have a population that's no longer dying, what does that mean? How quickly we'll be going through resources. Steps will have to be made. And also the question becomes just a question of who gets that gift. Is it just the rich people? Do we see that there will be class structure based on longevity? And what will happen to the human culture itself? Well, if we have an infinite number of tomorrows ahead of us, does boredom set in? Does inertia set in? Does progress stop because we put off today what we can do tomorrow? Because we have an infinite number of tomorrows, and do we put off having kids because there's no urgency anymore? There's no biological clock ticking. Do we put that off? We're talking about a fundamental change of all human nature when we start beginning to crest that margin, and I think it will be a fairly rapid change, and I think at this point it's something people do need to start considering and preparing for. My hope, being on a little bit more on the optimistic side, is is that, humans have a tendency to innovate and to face challenges and hopefully succumb those challenges. And even immortality is going to be a big challenge. But I believe even if you look 10 years down the line with that computing power that's a millionfold stronger than it is today, what other achievements beyond the biology of human life extension will be created? Will there be, satellites circling the Earth that are growing, food? Will we break through it and break free of fossil oils? Will there be some type of infinite amount of energy? Will there be a moon base set up? Will we be exploring, terraforming other planets? We always have a tendency to innovate our way out of most crises, and I think as we head into this, hopefully we'll see something like that happen too. But it's going to be, within our own lifetime, a huge change in the way we live our lives.
Well, and personally myself, I don't know if I'd honestly want to live forever, because there would come a point where you just, I don't know, I feel it would get old after a while, in my honest opinion.
Yeah, that is the concern, is do you just get bored? We have a lot of books that deal with immortal characters in the past where they seem to be burnt out, they've done everything, seen everything, and they grow bored. Personally, myself, even though it might sound a little bit selfish, I probably wouldn't mind living forever, mostly just because of pure curiosity. I want to know where things are heading. I'm one of those guys that hates to leave the movie theater, halfway through the movie.
You want to know everything before you go.
I got to know how it ends.
That's right. I feel the same way.
The part of me that would just, want to stick around just to see what happens.
Now, like I said earlier, that when I said that there would come a point where people can actually buy the parts they need to keep running or pay whatever they have to, this is probably going to be something of the upper echelon. Somebody of a higher income will be able to afford, I would believe, at a point to basically keep it from overpopulating like we were talking about. I think that, do you believe they'd put stipulations on that, like prices, like $100 billion for a biomechanical heart? Something of that nature.
There's going to be a price pressure on that, simply because even some of the innovations that are going on today, like right now, there's just this past week I was reading an article about a new drug that's coming out to halt the progression of Alzheimer's. And Alzheimer's is a big problem in the U.S. There's at this point about 4 million people in the U.S. that suffer from Alzheimer's, and they expect that in the next 20 years we're going to see that rise to about 16 million people as the baby boomers roll into old age. But so they have a new drug for halting the progression of Alzheimer's. It doesn't reverse it, but once you start taking this drug, it stops it from getting worse. It's in human trials right now. But the cost of that drug runs about $4,000 a month.
Wow.
So again, who can afford that? Will it be limited only to a select group of people, either somebody that has great insurance or somebody that can afford to pay out of pocket for that? So I'm sure there will be some price pressure on some of these accomplishments. But I think over time, just the way drugs do over time get cheaper and cheaper, that we will see even this gift of immortality become more economical. So though it might be limited by price pressure initially, I think over time we're going to see that disappear, and that it will be something that's universally available. Maybe not across the entire globe, but I think a significant amount of population will be able to afford it if we reach that goal.
Now, on the other hand, on the other side of living forever and chemical, like instead of bioengineering, could there be like a chemical out there or like a supplement out there to increase our longevity? I mean, could there be like a happy mix of technology and some sort of drug or wonder pill that does it without, microbots fixing you up constantly?
Yeah, I believe so. Because one of the third aspects, the third path to immortality that I cover in this novel, and also from talking to various scientists in different labs, there's a new field of science called cybergenetics, and that's where we're actually taking that technology I was talking about, but it can also be chemical and controlling the DNA code itself. DNA is just basically a set of information processes for building our bodies. But that software is old. It's millions of years old. And the cybergenetics, and they're testing both technology and drugs, hold the potential for overhauling that system. There's drugs right now that can turn on or turn off genes, and they're getting finer control over that ability. And it's oftentimes it's the epigenetic code that controls exactly that time clock that's built into our bodies. And if we can start resetting that time clock, chemically or technologically, then it may be as simple as taking a drug or getting a shot to get this to revamp your DNA itself and reboot yourself. So again, even in that aspect, there's some exciting stuff going on, even at the genetic level.
Now, how many books have you authored?
This book is my 23rd. I've got my 24th coming out in January, and I'm working on my 25th right now.
That's pretty cool. I'm looking through some of your titles and all the stuff you grew up reading, like Jules Verne and H.G. Wells. I mean, that's some pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up, reading the pulp novels from the 30s and 40s that were done as Bantam reprints in the 70s, and I love that bravado storytelling of that mix of science and adventure. I like that speculation of Jules Verne and H.G. Wells, where they were, trying to take current science of their time and looking a few years, a few decades into the future and seeing where mankind might be. And that's pretty much what I attempt to do with my writing, is just taking a modern spin on those old pulp novels, those old H.G. Wells and Jules Verne novels. One of my first books was called Subterranean. It took place almost entirely in a cavern system underneath Antarctica. It was basically my sort of homage to Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Right.
So, in my third book, Deep Fathomed, deals with dark energy and dark matter, and deals with a salvage operation system. Almost all that, it takes place underwater. Again, sort of my homage to 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. So, I just love that old storytelling, and I think it was important storytelling. It's looking where we're heading. We look how many things that H.G. Wells and Jules Verne got right. And I think, at this point, there's a bit of cautionary tale when we deal with, speculative fiction like this, when we look to the future and where we might be headed.
Now, do you ever deal with any stories around time travel? Do you have any time travel thoughts or?
The very next book I'm writing, and I've never told anybody this, but I'll share it with your audience for the first time, is the book I'm working, that'll be coming out next summer, deals with a satellite that's crashing into a jungle. And what they discovered, the last image from that crashing satellite was showing the East Coast on fire. But of course, the East Coast was not on fire. So is this a peek to the future? So yes, we will be dealing with the whole image, the whole thing of high particle physics and what that means in regards to breaking the barrier of time.
Wow, that is awesome. That is pretty cool. Thank you for that little exclusive tidbit. That's awesome.
Not a problem.
I can't wait till that comes out, actually. I got some reading I got to catch up on here. You are a very interesting man, James Rollins. We'd like to thank you for being on InSpace today. Is there any websites, anything you want the listeners to check out on you?
JamesRollins.com is the main site. You can find out further details about all those books and also some of the research behind some of those novels. Also, for any aspiring writers out there, there's a whole section on tips for writing, tips on publications. So it's a great place if you're thinking about writing, maybe to get at least a few footsteps towards that goal.
That's cool. Well, thank you so much for being on with us today. I will be in touch with you. I'll bring you on again in the future once you drop that new book.
Right.
I'm really interested to talk to you with all my little theories and whatnots about time travel. Very cool guy, James Rollins. Thanks for being with us today.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks.
Have a good one, man.
All right.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was badass.
And I really started getting interested. I mean, he's a very interesting guy, but especially when he started talking about living forever and... I started thinking about myself, like you. Like, would you want to? And if you did, then what would you do with yourself? You know what I mean? I would like to think that I would be really productive and, go and do a bunch of things that I really would love to do. But after you do those things,
Well, in this guy's bio, it says, if you can't see him at one of his book signings or, any lectures or anything like that, he's out splunking or scuba diving. I mean, this guy is an active guy going all over the world and hanging out and just learning new stuff. And I like his mindset. I kind of have the same mindset. When I die, I have to know absolutely everything, or that I will haunt everybody forever because I just have to know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Joe, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm pretty lazy in nature, so I think I'd just put it off till tomorrow. It depends. I know if it was here today, I probably would, but
right.
So probably when I'm going to be 30, so it'd be like when I'm 50, 60 years old.
Uh-huh.
Probably not. Probably wouldn't want to live forever.
I don't know. I'd do it for a while. Not forever, though. I'd get a good 500 years under my belt.
But what if it was like...
If it's like a medicine?
One or
like,
the other, yeah. It's either like you either take it and you're gonna live forever, no choice.
Like the Alzheimer's thing?
Earth is destroyed or something.
$4,000 for the pill or the shot, you know?
The immortal. Well, I think what he was talking about was more of like a genesis with electronics and machinery, like a biomechanical bone structure when your bones start giving out, or super synthetic strong skin, or a heart machine instead of a heart, a filtering system instead of your kidneys. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a combination of the medical and the engineering and genetical engineering too. He had a lot of parts to that, but it's very feasible. And like you said, 2015. That's only a couple years out here.
Yeah,
totally straight out of the movies, like that Bicentennial Man or whatever. Robin Williams.
I didn't want to end the interview, but
I'm gonna talk into the bottom of the microphone.
Talking to the bottom of the microphone.
And then I'll take it to the top.
Take it to the top of the microphone.
Top to the bottom of the middle.
Oh, I remember.
When I'm gonna let you come around anyhow. Run around town down, won't you hear me now? People talking in the street, don't give a shout. Coming down the line, we running out of time now. When I'm gonna let you come around anyhow. Run around